Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Thursday night Pearl of Wisdom. We will be getting started in just a few minutes, and tonight is a special evening. We are going forward with our 46th Pearl of Wisdom. Hard to believe.
Welcome to our...
We've done 46 of these already. And tonight is special. You know, as we're nearing the end of the year, end of 2021, Mynoo will be taking us on a little journey of the 7 hidden jewels. Very exciting. And wrapping up, as she said. And it's interesting, we were just having a chat about already the gifts are going in boxes and we're getting ready to wrap them. And I know I am ready to wrap up 2021 and go forward with 2022. So this will be very exciting indeed. I'm going to go ahead and let in those of our friends who are joining us via Zoom. It's going to be a very exciting night tonight. Thank you all for coming to this 46th Pearl of Wisdom, which tonight again is wrap up. So we're going to be learning the 7 hidden jewels that are involved in wrapping up as we near the end of 2021 and venture into the exciting year of 2022. I don't know about you guys, but I am certainly ready. So I was asking Mynoo a little bit about these jewels, like, are they real jewels? And she said, you'll just have to wait and see. I felt like it was like Christmas morning and I'm happy to wait for the present. So very excited to hear what Mynoo has in store for us this evening. And she's going to talk about how each of these jewels impact us utilizing the power of our wishes. So that will be very exciting. I know we all love manifesting and we love having our dreams and our wishes come true. So I think we're going to have a few tools in our tool belt after tonight to assist us with that. So welcome again to our 46th Pearl of Wisdom, which is wrap up. And I will turn this right over to Mynoo. So excited to have you all tonight and very excited, Mynoo, to hear what is in store for us.
Yeah, me too. I'm looking forward to it also. So here we go. Spotlight for everyone. Okay. Good morning, everyone. That feels like such a long time ago that we had the previous session, and we only weren't here for Thanksgiving. Sorry, I'm just in a different place, so my remarkable somehow didn't work, so I have to look at the computer to see my notes. So, Catherine, you're going to take care of the back room. That's great. But I was excited. I was very excited about this particular Pearl of Wisdom wrap up. Now, those of you who've been doing the Beyond meditation with me, which I do every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, a couple of weeks ago, you know, one of the things that I brought forth was that it's time we are literally in that last 10 days, if you like, of when the 2021 energies come to an end. They come to an end on the 12th of December. And then after that, the 2022 energies kick in. And it's time to wrap up. And the vibe is all of wrapping up. And we've been focusing on what that looks like. And some of the sharing that many of you have done with what has occurred for you as we've done those meditations are really an indication of how this whole wrap-up piece is a Pearl of Wisdom. Pearl of Wisdom, you know, there's a whole collection of bodies of work that I've received and I, you know, work with, and there are only a few of those that make it to be a Pearl of Wisdom. And a Pearl of Wisdom, which Catherine has asked me several times, and I'm reiterating now, what's different about something being a Pearl of Wisdom is that just that pearl by itself, if you only ever focused on that, on mastering that one pearl, it has the capacity and ability to really create a world that works for everyone, not just you. So something like wrap up being that, knowing what we have learned in the last few Beyond meditations about wrap up and experiencing that journey of wrapping up, I was particularly excited that it has that potency. So with great enthusiasm and excitement, I'm going to now share the 7 jewels. And it's the jewel of, there are 7 jewels, and they showed up in the form of colors. And these colors are corresponding to the chakra colors that we know. The 7 chakras that have been very well invoked and activated in the human race. And it isn't about the chakras, it's really about the colors, and you can literally have that potency of that color as you are going through your wrap-up journey. You can make today the red day, tomorrow the orange day, and you can have, all forms of jewels. If you have ruby, then you can have a ruby, or you can have, wear clothes of that color, whatever it is. But it's you, what you say goes, So we're going to be going through this wrapping up experience between now and the 12th of December. And I'm going to go through and talk to you more about each one of those and what that means. So you create a game, and how wonderful would it be to create a game, to really bring in the full power of that particular color on the day that you choose for that to be center stage for you. So first of all, let's really understand this whole wrap-up stuff. What is it? What is this wrap-up? So wrap-up has got different connotations. And in working with wrap-up as a pearl of wisdom, you're actually working with all of those different connotations of the word wrap-up. This is the time to whatever it is that of the past that got invoked or rattled, that you're ready to wrap up so that you can move forward. This is the time to very proactively seek that out, wrap it up, put it away. And it's done. But really what happens energetically is when you actually classify or identify and acknowledge something that you are wrapping up in that way, you're literally releasing it out of your orbit. So the juiciness lies in your acknowledgement. I think almost every week I talk about acknowledgement is one of the most powerful tools you can have. And wrap up truly brings in the full power of acknowledgement. So by acknowledging that which you are ready to wrap up and put away and move forward, you are doing what acknowledgement does when you acknowledge something that doesn't serve you. It literally squirts like a weed killer at the root of that which doesn't serve you. And it's out of your orbit. Wrap up is also about wrapping up your gifts, your presence. And you can literally go, this is how I work with it. I go into, section by section of my life. Last 5 years, last 10 years. And I actually do it like that. I do it like, okay, last 5 years, what are my gifts and talents? And what is it that I want to wrap up as a gift, as a present for myself? And it's also the time for, it's this wonderful time where many of us in the world have our Christmas tree and, have presents, gifts under it. So just imagine the moment you take birth, your own guides and guardian angels literally place a Christmas tree equivalent in your sphere. And it is actually the tree of aliveness. Tree of life brought in a whole variety of energies that enabled life to propel and propagate on this planet. The moment you take birth, and this applies to any one of us, and most certainly humans work with it, should they choose to, a tree of aliveness is placed. Because you have life, that is, you have the gift of life. For me, that's the first thing that I put under my tree of aliveness, the gift of life. So I go back, okay, last 5 years, what are the things, what are the presents I want to place under my tree of aliveness? And then I go last 10 years, and then I go last 15 years. So what happens is I actually start uncovering more and more and more. So I don't do last 5 years and then, 5 years prior to that and then 5 years prior. I actually literally just keep expanding it. And I do have a few decades to go through. So I feel particularly blessed, really blessed my age in the physical sense as I work with this wrapping up. So it's very rich. And I allow myself to get very creative, as it's a form of very active, creative, meditative state. And the best part is, what it's doing is it's reinforcing your inner knowing that there is something quite special about you, that you have so many things that you can find and place under the tree of aliveness. It doesn't have to be only humongous things. Even for me, one of the things that I have under my tree of aliveness is that moment when I reconnected to feeling my feelings. Something that I just pushed away to one side. For many, many years. And, it was quite a special experience to feel my feelings again, to just simply feel. And yes, with the feeling your feelings comes the good and the bad and all of those different types of feelings. And either way, just being able to feel again was quite a special thing. And even acknowledging that gave rise to a whole variety of experiences that I had as a result of feeling my feelings that also became presents to go under my tree of aliveness. This knowing itself, that it isn't once a year that you can go under this tree and find those gifts. It's with you all the time. So when I got this whole understanding, I literally started getting very I brought in this childlike wonderment during my meditations. It's like, okay, I am going to have the next 20 minutes and I'm going to just rummage under my tree of aliveness and pick something. And then I'm going to open it because they were all wrapped up. I don't know what I'm going to pick today. And then you just choose whatever it is. And I know, it is like your imagination working its way, but you've actually acknowledged each of those gifts have been acknowledged as being worthy of being wrapped up and placed under your tree of aliveness. So in that acknowledgement, the power of acknowledgement is added to it. And what does acknowledgement do? It actually provides exactly the right quantum and the right mix of nutrition that enables the blossoming to take place of that which you have acknowledged. And the third facet of wrap up or wrapping up is literally like, just wrapping yourself up in the coziness, in the warmth, in the wonderful silky feeling that makes you feel so special, makes you feel so comforted, makes you feel safe and secure, whatever it may be. It's got that vibe. So every word has a vibration, an innate vibration. Wrap-up's innate vibration literally is like a warm hug. So even when you are wrapping up that which you no longer wish to engage with, you are in fact giving yourself that warm hug, saying it's okay, you can let go of that. Even when you are wrapping up your gifts and talents, each one of them is like giving yourself that yummy, yummy hug again. Because the phrase, the wrap up, has got that as an innate vibration. This is a whole new body of work that, that I work with, which is the innate vibration of words. So now let's look at the jewels that I'm talking about. Because each of these, I call them jewels because each of these gets you to work with these three aspects of wrapping up in a very specific way. So the first jewel is the color red. So the color red, when you are actually presencing the jewel of this color red, and you're going to actually engage in the wrap-up exercises with the presencing the power of this jewel, which is red, you are in fact focusing on forward movement, moving forward and gaining momentum from that moving forward. So what it does is it, from a chakra or a meridian point of view, presencing the power of the color red allows you to activate your base chakra in a particular direction. So this 2021 and beyond has been all about moving forward, moving forward, moving forward. So if you feel stuck at any point in time, if you feel you've got a block, be it a writer's block, a painter's block, or just blocked by not taking the action that you know you have to take, or you get gripped by it, or you find other things to get distracted about, or you find yourself, unable to shake off procrastination, whatever it may be. The moment you feel that, you presence this jewel red. You can even go as far as, wearing a red underwear, because it's like, that's the region of this particular chakra, the base. And if you were to say, okay, like I'm presencing red today and I'm focusing on wrap up, immediately you experience that wonderful warm hug. And in your wrapping up lay of the land analysis of what is it that I'm actually wrapping up so I can move forward, then you're not making yourself feel bad at procrastinating. You're not beating yourself up. You've already declared and you're holding the space for yourself to move forward in a very loving way. And all you have to do is, okay, done with it. And fine, wrap up takes care of the rest. And now you can focus on your gifts and talents that already exist under the tree of aliveness. And sometimes when it is all about moving forward, you don't feel like looking at under the tree of aliveness. That can happen. You can start saying, okay, the last 5 years, where have I broken this pattern where I've actually managed to move forward? What is it that triggered me to actually move forward? Acknowledge that, wrap it up as a gift, goes under the tree of aliveness. You will see within 2 or 3 gifts, you will actually start feeling alive. Presence the color red. It could be anything. It could be a red pencil, red paper, a red shawl, or just photographs of sunsets or sunrises, whatever it may be. I'm using the term jewels because literally you become the jeweler that brings together these different ingredients, and you create something quite special with it. One of my favorite jewelers is a woman called Shankari Ashton. I don't know, some of you may know her. She's based in Bali. I think she's from Hawaii, but based in Bali. So one of the amazing things she does is every piece of jewelry has got a stone in it. And then it has many other features, stones and precious metals around it. Just so elegantly created, you know. To me, when I started working with this, I thought, oh, okay, you know, what is it that's going to be the red today? And I just imagined her type of design in it. I do have a number of ruby crystals I use for my paintings. So that one was not a difficult one. But you will find, I mean, this is like a little bit of a word of phrase of warning, that when you work with the color red, it is about forward movement to momentum. Results guaranteed. Even as you say, right, I'm wrapping up that which no longer serves me, enough of being tied to that old story of what happened when I was growing up. Done, wrapping that up. Everything associated with it, where you've taken the wrong sliding door just because you were so attached to the story, it starts to just leave your system very fast. And you start feeling that experience of being unleashed. When you start identifying that which you're wrapping up to put under your tree of aliveness, and you're working with this jewel of red, that starts to multiply really fast. And literally, I mean, there was a point where I was feeling so wonderfully expanded and even almost feeling breathless at the excitement with how many things I had already placed under my tree of aliveness that were going to help me move forward with momentum. So literally, aliveness truly kicks in very fast. And then it's up to you. You work with it in the way you want. An interesting way of working with this jewel is you can literally go for, this area is where I'm stuck. Everywhere else seems to be okay. It's moving along. But this area I'm stuck. Right. You're going to apply the jewel of red and work with the Pearl of Wisdom wrap-up. And I would love for you to share what happens when you do that. You're using, your power tool is acknowledgement, right? And you're acknowledging that which you're wrapping up to put away. You're acknowledging that which you're wrapping as a gift. And you are acknowledging yourself by allowing yourself to be wrapped up in a warm or a silky or a linen wrap around. The second jewel is orange, the color orange. Now, when you work with the color orange, amber, absolutely sunrise, sunsets. There's this wonderful orange I see behind you, sunny. So, you can really presence yourself to the jewel of orange. Orange, immediately, when you're focusing on wrap up, the spotlight shines on the worthiness of you. So what are you wrapping up where you have failed to recognize your own worthiness? You don't need to go get over analytical about it. Just focus on lists. There's more than enough charge on anything that you write on a list like that. You don't need to analyze it. In you writing it, you've acknowledged it, it's wrapped up out. And doing it now is good time because we are still at that last stretch of the flowing in flow year. So literally the energetics of this year takes it out of your field very fast. And then acknowledging that about your worthiness, that becomes a collection of gifts or presents you're going to put under your tree of aliveness. Wow, it's the most yummy experience. And it's the yumminess of this particular jewel is so potent because what does it mean to be acknowledging your own worthiness? You are reclaiming dignity. Dignity is one of the three things we are born with. And it is about you acknowledging your own worthiness and from that space, acknowledging that in others. So this particular jewel of orange absolutely does that. Applied to wrap up, it's phenomenal. I mean, this is a journey of exuberance. For what it did for me was it actually became a gift that I often kept referring to. The journey of the jewel of orange applied to wrap up. It was such an experience. Recognizing, acknowledging, experiencing those moments, those connections, those interactions that made me feel that, my own worthiness. And then the third jewel is the color yellow. And it could be in any form whatsoever. My grandson, my 3.5-year-old grandson, his favorite color is yellow. So we have a yellow table mat, yellow backpack, yellow everything. So every day he wears something that's yellow. And the jewel of yellow, what it activates is the fearlessness. And it activates fearlessness and infuses resilience in your pursuits. Now you can choose what you pursue. What is the pursuit you're engaged in? The jewel of yellow in the context of wrap up infuses that fearlessness and accentuates resilience in your pursuit. So you don't get pushed by a curveball. You may feel it, and it may feel a little bit uncomfortable, but you can brush it off and move forward. This is a really important jewel to work with. And I'm saying it's an important jewel to work with because one of the things that happens, we are designed to autocorrect ourselves in how the Creator created us in the various layerings that have come together to create this human body and its experiences. And what happens is, something happens and we give meaning to it, or people around us give meaning to it. We may receive it, accept that meaning, and it starts to put a pressure on us. We start loading ourselves. So if you were like that, we used to have these Russian dolls that would fit one inside the other. And they had this amazing center of gravity, and they would bob backwards and forwards and always come back to the center, right? Every little doll in all of those different layers, they all had that ability. So you just imagine as if you're that doll and you're loading yourself. Something happened, doesn't feel good, or whatever meaning you gave to it, whatever the experience might be, we put a load on it. Now we are still trying to bob back, but it's hard work. And then after a while, we start avoiding certain things because we feel fearful about, and it starts to question our resilience. Then more things happen. There's greater load and greater load and greater load and greater load until it becomes really hard to bounce back. So this particular jewel presents the color yellow and allocate some time today or tomorrow on engaging in wrap-up. Presencing yellow by itself activates that fearlessness and infuses resilience in your pursuit. And your pursuit initially may just be whatever it is that has loaded you. You don't understand what it is, but anything that acts like a burden or a load, you're actually going to wrap that up and release it. So when you're working with this jewel, you literally go focus on that to begin with. And you will start feeling a lightness of being starting to emerge. You will actually have that experience as if your lungs are opening up. And then when you start wrapping up your gifts that you're going to put under your tree of aliveness, you literally take some of those situations that you have just wrapped up and taken out of your field and find what about you that was, that demonstrated resilience, that enabled you to get over that situation which you felt gripped by or you felt burdened by. That is a gift. And that may be that a friend came forward and put their hand out and you held their hand and allowed them to take you forward. It could be that. Or it could be that you just unconditionally finally accepted it and, moved out, whatever it may be. Even just engaging with that, what is it that you did? What is it that you experienced? What is it that you connected with that allowed you to step forward in a fearless way and therefore boosted your resilience in your pursuit to live a life with the lightness of being? You're actually invoking the power of this jewel, which is the color yellow. We have these lights, and at my niece's place, and these lights are connected to some program, and that program allows these lights to have different colors. So my niece's daughter, so like 2 and a bit years, learned to talk. She can say, "Google, give me yellow." Google, give me, and she comes up with this the other day. Google, give me baby pink. What? Well, we can all get that computer program and link it to our lights, This 2-year-old can do it, we can all do it. But really work with this. I've had so much fun working with these jewels and the wrapper. It just feels so festive. So yellow, that's the potency of this one. Remember, when you're engaged in wrap-up, complete the cycle. I don't have that much time to do it. I'm just going to do it for 5 minutes. Make sure that you wrap up something that you're letting go, and you also wrap up some presents that go under the tree of aliveness. And the moment you focus on wrap up, that wonderful, the perfect shawl or a drape going around your shoulders happens automatically. We're all going to have such fun wrapping our Christmas presents this year. So the fourth jewel is the color green. This one was an interesting one. I just thought, oh, green, abundance, love, happy, all that. It was interesting. And what I did not anticipate was when I said, okay, it all feels really good. Lots and lots of things came up that I want to wrap up as gifts under my tree of aliveness. But when I just engaged with, okay, I'm bringing presence in green today. And, even in Dubai, we happen to have a nice green patch just on the ground floor of where I live. So I was just able to look at that color and allow that green to just enter through my eyes, feeling the power of this particular jewel. And what I uncovered was when you wrap up that which doesn't serve you anymore and you're presencing this jewel, which is the color green, it brings out a lot of grief that may be held in your cells. That you may be grieving about deep down, but haven't fully expressed. So this is a very important jewel to work with. And the most powerful way of releasing any grief that you may have, and it could be grief because there's something unrequited, something that you regret you should have done and you can't do anymore, or it feels like too much time has passed, whatever it may be. When you're in this, in presencing the jewel of the color green, allow yourself to take your time to wrap up that which you are releasing. And be aware that a lot of grief and grieving may occur. And you are wrapped up in that wonderful, warm, cozy drape or a shawl energetically. So you will be very safely be able to release that which you are grieving. It's a very special form of clearing out and cleaning out that takes place. And as you work with this particular jewel, it presences you to being human in your fullness. And being human is being love. As a frequency, as an amplifying frequency. And we are so fortunate that we live on this planet, that there is so much green that we can actually see. Even if you're in the middle of the desert, you can certainly see some images. Whatever it is, it's the color. And by the time you get to the color green, I certainly found that in myself, because you start becoming so creative. I mean, really, one of the things that's happening is you're very logically, methodically going through, wrapping up that which doesn't serve, finding those gifts. So your logical brain is quite activated. And as it's activated and you're acknowledging it, your creativity starts to literally unravel itself. And you start becoming very creative. By the time you get to green, you've already got yellow and orange and red to add to whatever jewelry you're designing for yourself. It's great fun. Great fun. And big stuff gets released and shifted. As you work with each of these colors as a jewel that enables you to implement the yumminess of this pearl of wisdom of wrap-up. Be gentle with yourself, you know. I mean, there was part of me, which was when I was working with this color green and I was experiencing some of the grieving that was being released. And I was like, wow, come on, I should know better by now. I mean, what am I still holding on to this for? It doesn't matter. You know, if it's coming out of you, that's great. You know, the power lies in acknowledgement. The fifth jewel is the color blue. And the color blue, when you start working with that color, you know, we just have to look up at the sky and it very often looks blue. I know it's gray time in many parts of the world right now. But you can always find some blue in your old photographs. This one is about finding and sharing your voice, finding and recognizing that you do have a voice and sharing that, the discovery of your voice. And I talk about my grandkids so much. I want to bring this in here, where the newborn, right, the one who was born in March, because I've watched him so up close and personal. I saw what happened when this kid realizes that it has a voice. You know, crying and initially crying and getting what it wanted was all fine because it was just responding to a physiological need. And then he started saying, you know, started like da, 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 or whatever, just a few words. The first time he did it, he was like that. He like found his voice. And then he started experimenting and playing with it. And that's exactly what happens when you work with this particular jewel for yourself. And now we have fun with him. We introduce different sounds and then he does it. And then he does like beams. So it's very plugged into, I've discovered this and it's coming from me. And that's what happens when you work with this particular jewel, because it's like, whoa, I actually have an opinion about this. And for the first time, I've actually spoken about this to myself. Okay, I am ready to share it with others. So when you work with this one, take a few days, actually, because there is so much that we do feel we want to share in our voice. But we often don't, and we encourage others who sort of speak our language, you know? And yet, it's time for you to really reclaim your voice, even if you don't push yourself out there and grab the microphone, but reclaiming that for yourself. Literally, you're bringing the power of who you are, what you are capable of communicating, what is yours to communicate and say. You're owning it. You step into your own regalia. When you work with this color, it literally is like the royal blue. You feel like royalty. It's amazing. Wrapping up that which you're ready to be done with, where you have held back from expressing yourself, where you have given certain labels and meanings to your voice not being the right one to use for this, or whatever it may be. Again, in my world, no great analysis required. Use your power tool of acknowledgement. And you don't even have to share it with anyone other than, right, I'm done with this. And, sometimes people say, well, how do I do this? You can think about it and let it go. And if you feel you want to write it down, you write it down. Just so that you do have a list. I mean, I do write things down. And it feels like a great sense of satisfaction when I burn it, add water to the pan in which the ashes are, and pour it into the earth. It's like a very powerful completion that takes place. Now, the first time you do this, it does take a while. This particular one takes a while. There are many, many external factors that we have given our power away to shut our voice and even allow sometimes our voice to get contorted because we're trying to mimic somebody else or whatever choices we may have made. Nothing is a right choice and nothing is a wrong choice. It is just a choice you've made at some point. So this may take a while, but just know you're doing it in the safety of your own wrap that is wrapping you up. And you always have your tree of aliveness, which by the time you get to the color blue already is full of loads of presence that you can always tap into. And you already have a lightness of being because there's so much that you've wrapped up and released. So take the time, don't rush this one. It is about you plugging back into your own resonance. And the color blue really supports your throat chakra. The throat chakra has a direct impact on your endocrine system. So allow yourself to find your voice. And remember that time when we've lost our voice because we have a cold, and then the voice starts to return and we just will have so much to talk that we sometimes even damage our throat by, croaking our way through something that really is calling to be rested. So this one, just allow yourself to do it at your pace. It's like, you're about to sing at a concert, and it's good if you did some exercises to support your vocal cords, to support the sound to reverberate in your mouth, to activate different parts of your mouth so that the sound that comes out is your resonance. You also work with your solar plexus. So we've done all that work with all of the previous colors. So the sound that will be coming out is really going to be coming from your gut and being expressed. So it's infused with your inner wisdom. And it is coming rich with acknowledgement of your own worthiness. You are totally standing in that space. So when you communicate, you're actually honoring the other person's worthiness also, just through the words you say, even if you say nothing about them. And Catherine, that's why I call these the jewels, They're so accessible. You don't have to be super wealthy to find the color blue. Yes, it can be a sapphire. And it can simply be a crayon or the waves. Find and share your voice. That's what this one's about. The sixth jewel that is hidden in wrap up is purple. I mean, I know people talk about royal blue, and I love the color royal blue. Purple to me is the color of royalty. I don't know why. There's some divinity in that royalty. So for me, when I presence purple as the color, it like immediately I'm plugged into the divinity of me. And if I have that divinity within me, I know that so do you. So does everyone. So does everything. Working with this color as the jewel, as I'm working through the wrap-up experience, really got me to understand very deeply this whole body of work around vibrations, that, okay, if everything is about vibrations and everything is vibrating, then, the molecules and the atoms that make up my computer keyboard are vibrating as much as the cells in my heart are vibrating. So when I'm in this space, working with this jewel of purple, it's like that inner wisdom gets invoked about the vibrancy that actually is reflected back at us based on us connecting to our own vibrations. Understanding this really got me to respect my computer keyboard, and get it a little jacket so those crumbs don't get stuck in between those keys. But I mean, I'm just using this as an example, but seriously, when you get that everything is a vibration, everything that makes up your environment, your inner environment, your outer environment, is a collection of vibrations. Just that knowingness, just that landed to me, got me to respect everything. And it, you literally stop shoving dust from one corner to another. You actually get it out. And that's what the wrap-up does. So with the color, different things will show up for different people. For me, this aspect of my inner wisdom rose to the surface when I worked with this and I worked with wrap-up. This whole piece about, we talk about duality, we talk about divisiveness, and it's actually all about sameness. What if we acknowledge sameness? And celebration is, celebrate diversity and let's acknowledge sameness and celebrate sameness. And so for me, when I worked with this and wrap up, I understood that it isn't only about humans. This logic of sameness and separation actually applies to inanimate objects relating to me and me relating to them. What if I look for what's same about us? Well, at a base level, we are all vibrations. So you can imagine if you start getting it, people around you start getting it, we will not be damaging our environment. It was huge. And it all came from this yummy space of wrapping up at this time of the year. It's even more potent, which is why I think this is chosen as a pearl of wisdom, because we are at that point in time in the trajectory of our planet where we are bringing a powerful completion to a year of flowing in flow, to enter the realm of rejoicing. Perfect time to wrap up that doesn't serve you, and a perfect time to fill up your tree of aliveness with your gifts and presents that you will keep unwrapping every time there's something to rejoice. So yeah, the purple day is a very deep and potent day. You'll find there'll be a new revelation or a discovery of a unique understanding that you have. And those of you who know your source mastery from the work that we've done together, step into that when you're working with this jewel purple. And the 7th jewel is Pearlescent. It's that wonderful, wonderful color of the mother of pearl, abalone's shell, you know, or pearls per se, the inside of an oyster shell. It's that color. And if you look at that, if you engage with Pearlescent, it was quite interesting. When I took this up, I found that a pearlescent color it's not alone. It's rich in a spectrum of shades of different colors. You'll find that. And really what that gave me when I worked with it, and I was really engaging with, okay, what am I wrapping up? I found it was areas where I have not allowed a full spectrum experience of living my life. Things that I have held in place, practices that I've held in place, or even beliefs that I might have held in place that prevent me from experiencing that full spectrum way of living my life: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, social, and environmental. That's what I was wrapping up to release. And then when I started looking at what am I wrapping up as gift, it was the nuances of the gifts that I was wrapping up, working with these colors were, I mean, as psychedelic as you can imagine, because they had so many nuances to what I was wrapping up. My ability to be able to lead a very hardcore Federation 100 business session, at the same time be able to tune in to see what's energetically blocking a business leader that I'm working with, and to be able to communicate it in such a way that they are able to get it all and make that transformation for themselves. It's like, wow, that's amazing. But you will find that for yourself. Because when you work with this color, this particular jewel immediately opens you up to tapping into the entire wisdom of the cosmos. And you know where that entire wisdom of the cosmos resides? In your cells. It's a constant feed in to your cells that is taking place. The more you work with the wrap up as a pearl of wisdom and work with these colors, you're cleaning up. It's like a constant spring clean that is taking place, which means initially it takes a while, but once you've done it and you just keep working with it, you have your presence from the tree of aliveness. You're wrapped up, you're cozy, comfortable, feeling exquisite, and there's a lightness of being. So you start noticing the full spectrumness of your gifts that you might not have noticed up to this point in time. That allows you to receive even more. It's one of the most regenerative experiences of all of the jewels, this final one, Pearlescent. So we are going to continue the wrap-up journeys, in Beyond Meditation all the way until the 12th of December. Join us if you can, and over to you, Catherine.
Oh, wow, Mynoo, I was just thinking back when you did the colors with us. You took us on a little journey and you gave each of us a color. And I was now relating that back to this beautiful session that you've delivered to us. And it's so meaningful. I'm ready to practice the gift of wrap up for myself and enjoy the yumminess of presencing all these colors. And now I'm like, oh, presence and presence has kind of a new meaning. So thank you so much, Mynoo. And I don't know if anyone else can remember the color that Mynoo gave you, but that would be an interesting exercise to go back. And I think everybody deserves different colored underwear so we can pull for that morning, like our superpower that's underneath it all. So thank you so much, Mynoo. I know we're at closing time, but I'm ready to put on my color of yellow for today. So I will be so excited to practice this with all of you as we continue our journey. And we will look forward to seeing you Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and of course, next Thursday. So thank you all for joining. Thank you, Mynoo. What a beautiful, wonderful session.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Namaste. Lots of love.